All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about was going on in the 1930s, particularly from the perspective of the U.S. And also, we're going to be looking at really focusing on the 1936 Olympics and why was that such a pivotal Olympics at that time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to our warm up. The first question asks you to analyze this picture and explain what is happening here. So if you look at the tree branches, there's little countries on there. There's different names of them on there. All right, so go through that. Um, the other thing you might notice right away is that this art style looks very familiar. Now, if you don't, you're like, oh, I know that. I've seen that somewhere. And you can't just put your finger on it. If you look at that bird in the middle, if you look at the tree and you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see who the artist is. Okay, and that should help you out. The second question is, what do you think this artist is trying to say? Okay, so again, look at the little bird that's all pecking at the tree. Look at what the big bird's sitting there by himself, twiddling his thumbs. Look what he's saying, and that should really help you out. Okay, so think about it, pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right. So in the 1930s, Japan got a new leader. His name was Emperor Hirohito, that's a picture of him on the bottom. Also, Italy got a new leader. His name was Benito Mussolini. He gave himself the nickname El Duce. You know. So here's the thing. September 18th, 1931, Japan attacks China. Okay. Now remember I told you guys from past lessons months and months ago and so like that. China and Japan do not get along. They do not get along at all. I mean, it's for centuries and centuries they did not get along. And it was like an insult to call a Chinese person Japanese and a Japanese person Chinese. So when Japan attacks China, Japan's part of the League of Nations. And the League of Nations doesn't want to start a war, you know. So they're like, "Hey, guys, stop it. Get out of China, guys. We're gonna write a really mean letter to you guys if you don't stop. We're gonna put little sanctions on you." None of that stuff works. None of that stuff matters to Japan. So it just shows the weakness of the League of Nations. So in about a year and like 6 months or so, um, Japan leaves the League of Nations, basically telling them, "Hey, you guys are weak. You're pathetic. You guys, they don't respect them." So they left. Now, on October 17th, 1933, Einstein visits the United States. All right. He's going around and giving lectures and things like that. And his time is up in the United States. And when it's time for him to leave, he's like, I don't want to leave. Because he's a German citizen, but he's also a Jewish man. And he basically tells the American people, you guys have no idea what's going on over there. This guy Hitler took over, and right away things were being done to Jewish people. The thing is, Einstein's a very smart man. Okay, right now at this point in 1933, he is world renowned. People know about him. His theory of relativity, E equals MC square, the whole light can bend. He proved that and all that stuff. So he is world renowned, and here he is now, a credible source, somebody people listen to and respect, is telling the American people, this guy Hitler is doing things, and you guys need to wake up and pay attention to him. Okay. Now, again, like I said in the other video, some Americans are just like, well, I'm going through the depression. I don't care about what's happening overseas. I need to put food on the table for my family. Some people, though, are listening, and some people now are listening more intently because of Einstein, because he is saying, I was there, you know, when Hitler took over. I was only there for a month, because I see this with the writings on the wall. I see what he's trying to do. So, excuse me, one second. Sorry about that. So yeah, so Hitler was only in power for a month, and that's when Einstein left for his lectures and tours and things like that, and he was not going back. Now, a small amount of people are talking about Hitler's treatment of the Jewish people. They're talking about they're hearing about laws that were being created and things like that. And in 1934, Hitler announces that he is the Führer, which is German for ultimate leader or supreme leader. Um, the thing is, the president, Hindenburg, this guy dies, and Hitler's already the chancellor of Germany. So when that guy dies, the military leaders combine the presidency and the chancellorship into one power, and Hitler is the top guy. Okay. Now again, Hitler is obsessed with the pure German race. He calls it the Aryan race. Um, really quickly, guys, there is no such thing as Aryan race. Aryan is actually a language. Yeah, but Hitler associates it with the German people and calls it an actual race. So the blonde hair, blue eyed Aryan race is the supreme people in the world. And he has an opportunity to try and show and prove that the blonde hair, blue eyed German Aryan is supreme compared to everyone else from the world. So here's your first question. What do you think would have happened to Einstein if he had returned to Germany under Hitler's control? Remember, Einstein is world famous. He's a physicist, one of the greatest, still considered one of the greatest minds of all time. What do you think Hitler would have done with him? Remember, Einstein's a Jewish man. So do you think he would have put him in a concentration camp? Do you think he would have made him do things, do experiments, you know, put him in lock and key, make sure he does things? What do you think he would have done? Or just simply kill him? I mean, that's always an option. So what do you think Hitler would have done with Einstein if he had gone back to Germany? All right, so think about it, write your response, because we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. So the event that I'm talking about that Hitler had, basically, that it just so happened to fall in his lap, was the 1936 Olympics. Hitler wanted to show the world that the blonde hair, blue eyed people were superior in every which way. And what better way to do this than on the Olympics? The whole world's going to bring their best. And if he has the best people beating the whole world, that's going to show, hey, the Aryan people are right, Hitler is right, and things like that. But here's the thing, the 36 Olympics almost didn't happen because the Olympic Committee people went to Germany and they saw writing on um, business buildings that said, Jewish owned, the Star David on paint on the windows, laws on paper all along the walls saying, Jewish people can't marry a German person, Jewish people don't have the right to vote, Jewish person had a curfew, Jewish people had uh, their records taken out from service from World War One. All their records, all accomplishments wiped clean. So this Olympic Committee sees all this and they're like, oh no, 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 all this got to go. And Hitler and his people are like, what do you mean this got to go? And they're like, okay, look, here's the thing, the whole world's going to come. That means there's Jewish people going to come. They see this crap, they're going to leave. If they leave, that means other countries are going to be like, yeah, we have Jewish citizens too, so we're gonna take off too. And if they leave and all these other countries leave, then we're not going to have the Olympics. And then, no. So either we cancel the Olympics right now or you get rid of all this crap. So again, Hitler wants to show the world that the Germans are superior. So he says, okay, fine. And they take down the laws and things like that, cleaned up the streets, took off all that Jewish sign symbol stuff, and they got it ready just in time. So the Olympics, people start coming in, tourists and other Olympians, and they're looking around Germany. Now remember, a lot of countries are still hurting because of the Great Depression. So they're looking around and seeing German people going to work, no German people, starving on the streets, no soup lines, things like that. The kind of things they would find in their country. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is how I remember it before the Great Depression. This is the way a country's supposed to be, just like Germany. Wow. Little do they know what's really happening with the Jewish people. So the Olympics start. German people start winning medals, bronze, gold, and silver. Uh, Hitler goes to the German winners, the gold medal winner, and he starts shaking their hands, things like that. Now, Hitler, for the Olympics, wanted the whole world to hear this. So he basically broadcasted the Olympics worldwide. And on top of that, this is also the first time that video is sent out into space. Okay. So one of the key events was a track and field. And Hitler's like, oh, my guys are faster, stronger, can jump farther than anyone else in the world. Well, that guy you see in the picture right there, that is Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens is a black man from Ohio in the United States, and he single-handedly destroys the German track and field team. Absolutely demolishes them. In the 4 events he runs and the long jump, he gets 4 gold medals. Yeah, he broke a couple world records and even tied one. So yeah, he was good. He was really great. Hitler refused to shake his hand. Now, here's the thing. In total, throughout the Olympics, Germany did win the most medals. The most, if you combined all the gold, silver, and bronze, they won 89 medals. The next closest country was the United States. The United States won 56 medals. So Germany won basically 33 more medals than the United States, and we came in second place. So that just shows you, man, they were on it. Okay. Later on in that year, 1936, Germany and Japan signed an Anti-Comintern Pact, which basically says they both agree to refuse communism. They're not going to be communist countries, things like that. Later that year, Italy agrees to it. That same agreement too. And then the next year, Italy leaves the League of Nations, basically saying like Japan, you guys are weak, you're pathetic, we're leaving you guys. So here's your next question. Do you think that Hitler's thoughts were on, what do you think Hitler's thoughts were on the 36 Olympics? Do you think he was happy that, hey, we won the most medals, we won 33 more medals than the next country to us, you know? Or do you think he was upset that Jesse Owens publicly destroyed his track and field team? So what do you think? Do you think he was happy that Germany did? Hey, they accomplished what they were going to do. They won more medals than anyone else by far. Or do you think he was upset that everyone heard on the radio or saw in the videos and the newsreels how Jesse Owens just basically made his track and field team look small? What do you think? Okay, so think about it. Pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Now, here's the thing. In 1938, Hitler basically wants Czechoslovakia, so he annexed it. Annexing is basically saying, I own it, even though there's people there. Okay? Now, Britain and France, they didn't like this, but also they didn't want another war. So what they decided to do was tell Germany, hey, okay, fine. We'll let you keep it, but that's it. You're not going to attack any more countries, things like that, or else we're going to war, okay? And Hitler's like, yeah, sure. No more invading, things like that. Promise. So they signed the Munich Pact. Here's the thing with appeasement. I won't use like your family because some of you guys don't babysit little brother, cousins, or whatever. But if you ever been to a store and you hear a little kid crying, just like, I want the toy, I want this candy, and they're screaming for whatever reason. And if you've ever been like, oh my God, just shut that kid up, give him the stupid candy, give him the stupid toy, just shut them up. If you've ever thought that, whether it's your own family member or some kid in the store, and you're like, just give it to them, whatever they want, just shut them up. That's appeasement. That's appeasement. Here's the problem with appeasement, though. What are you teaching them? What are you teaching them? You're basically telling them, you annoy me this much, I will get you what you want. So if they want other things in the future, what are they going to do? Are they going to try to earn it themselves? Are they going to ask? No, they're just going to bring up get you annoyed up to this point because they know that's where your boiling point is. That's where you crack. So you're not really teaching them anything except I'll get you what you want if you get on my nerves this much. Okay. Now, some Americans were getting concerned about this thing that Germany and Russia had an agreement. It was called the Non-Aggression Pact. Basically, Germany and Russia told each other, if you don't attack me, I won't attack you. Okay? Because again, Stalin, the leader of Russia, he knew if they attacked Germany, Germany's going to attack back. And Germany knew if they attacked Russia, Russia was going to attack back. So they're like, you know what? You don't get in my way, I won't get in yours. Okay? So they're basically like water and oil. They'll be right there, but they won't mix. They'll move with one another. One goes this way, the other one will go this way, you know. But they won't mix. So what happens is Hitler, because of what happened with Czechoslovakia, tells a bunch of little countries, hey, look at, I got Czechoslovakia. Britain and France didn't want to fight. So either you little tiny countries, either you accept me, accept Germany, that we've taken over you, or we just wipe you out. And don't look to Britain or France because they're not going to help you out. Why would they give a crap for a country this big when Yugoslavia was this big and they did nothing? So think about it. So a lot of countries just signed over with Germany. They just signed over, but one country didn't, and that was Poland. Poland said, "No, we're not going to sign over to you." So September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland, and they use this tactic called blitzkrieg, which means um, lightning war. So it's quick, fast, hard-hitting attacks. So September 3rd, Britain and France, they honor their treaty with Poland because Poland is part of the League of Nations, and they declare war on Germany. Now, here's the thing. Remember I told you Germany and Russia have that non-aggression pact, right? So with Russia taking over, or with Germany taking over this much of Poland, Russia comes from this side on November 17th, and they basically meet in the middle. So here's Germany, here's Russia, and the soldiers basically meet and they go, "Oh, okay, okay, fine. You keep that side, we'll keep this side." Okay, so those two countries basically took over all of Poland. Here's the thing: after this, for 6 months, nothing. People are like, "Where's the fighting at?" And it's basically these guys are sitting down at different posts, writing letters to their honeys, eating, shaving, things like that. There's no real fighting for 6 months. So the newspaper basically said, "Oh man, we jumped the gun. There's no fighting." I mean, Britain and France, they really just like got scared and just declared war. There's no war. So what's all the hassle about, you know? But here's the thing. The Germans, the Nazis, are planning something. They're not just sitting around with their thumbs just twiddling them. No. They're planning something. and you're going to find that out next class. All right, now I know on your paper it says like question 3 and exit ticket. Problem is, in class on Wednesday it did not save, so that class did not do it. So again, I try to be as fair as possible in every which way. So because Wednesday class didn't do question 3 at exit ticket, Thursday class didn't have to do question 3 or exit ticket. So then now you guys don't have to do it. Okay, so just put an X for question number 3 and the exit ticket. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Um, so that's it. All right. So you guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay.